thing out. But man, I like to start off by saying, man, as always, man, it's been great with the fan support over the last 2 days. I mean, 2 games, I should say. You know, we're a team that's kind of struggling right now. Obviously, it's well documented. I just believe it's because we're trying to find an identity, and it happens like that. We got a lot of inexperienced players in positions. Even some of the guys that are older, they're still new to the program, they're new to the league. And some of the guys that's not new to the program, there's freshmen and, there's a sophomore that we're leaning on pretty heavily. And then we're playing behind a junior that played spot minutes behind 2 guys that were really, really good for us in the past. But nonetheless, I think the credit has to go to Arkansas State. Without the coach being here, those guys stuck together. They grinded it out. They did what they need to do to capture a win on the road. It's a hell of a victory for them. Man, we got to figure out a way how to get better. We got to definitely figure out a way how to get better. And it's not going to be something that we're going to accept. The losing isn't something that we're going to accept. So we got to start soul searching a little bit and kind of figuring out a way how to be better.
Kind of what you're saying. It feels like for the majority, at least during this stretch, you are leaning a lot on those underclassmen. Jordan Mason playing in the position that's usually like that Mason Harrell position, and should have been Drew when his injury came, and then you're having to start Caden where Jordan. How is this kind of like mix and match and everyone kind of been affected this season?
Yeah, I think they say probably once a freshman gets to January, they're no longer a freshman, but the reality of it is that they're still seeing a lot of things for the first time. I think he's playing really, really hard. I think he's trying. And sometimes those things are not going to go our way. But I'm not so sure. I think the biggest thing about this team right now, as I think back, man, we got a small margin of error. Very small margin of error. I'm not saying that we got to play a perfect game. We don't have to play a perfect game, but we haven't been able to recover as well as some of the teams we've had in the past from runs from other teams or scoring droughts from us. So we got a small margin of error, so we need to be a little bit more strategic with our attack. We got to be a little bit stingier with our defense. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing right now. So he's trying, he's playing hard, but mixing and matching is something that we've had to do over the last 2 years with all of the injuries. But the biggest thing right now is just us kind of accepting the fact that we have a small margin of error, and we got to figure out how to get these guys to play with the level of sense of urgency and confidence that they need throughout.
When you talk about as kind of how that second half started, y'all go on this big run to tie things up, and then Arkansas State immediately hits those 30 pointers, and it's how do you, I guess, when you're going through the season as we get into February, how do y'all contend with like trying to stop, like continuing to build momentum when you get on these runs to now stopping Arkansas State like when they get on the big run, the snowball, I guess the bigger snowball? Yeah,
so we knew that they had really good shooters, and he didn't shoot the ball particularly great in our first matchup. So, this is a shooter's gym. I mean, guys shoot the ball pretty good here, with the wall being down. So it's not as hard of a shot, So it's a very comforting place. It just hasn't been because we've been there and guarding people and been a little bit more physical, in the past. But I think what we do is we try to get guys to focus. Those were focus shots. The switching and the switching up. the threes after you make a three, somebody hits you with a three. After you score a layup, somebody hits you with a three. That's just focus, you know. So, man, you gotta just realize that this generation, man, they celebrate shots not as much as they celebrate shots and makes more than they celebrate wins. So we gotta be a little bit more focused in on the job, you know, rather than celebrating. And then when we celebrate, you know, guys are raining threes on the other end.
You were able to tie it up late in the second half. Weren't able to get over the hump. Is that a focus issue too then?
Well, yes, especially when it comes down to offensive rebounding that
Yep.
we're giving up, you know, a number of those. You know, sometimes when that ball was shot, you know, it's human nature to kind of go with your eyes to go where the ball is. There's only one ball. So we all want to look at it instead of just doing our job. So it becomes a focus issue right there, and the focus is just on you doing your job when the ball is shot. So we got to look at film and just see whose responsibility that is and see how we can coach those guys in moments like that and just remind them, you know, in timeouts that how important rebounding is and blocking out, things of that nature.
You're with these guys every day. Are you seeing that growth though through practice from like the beginning to now? You're seeing like, you know, steps towards like getting where you want to be in February?
Yeah, you know what? I'm seeing it. I think we're getting better, you know, in a lot of different ways. I think part of it is just the struggle to be an everyday guy and just fight the feeling of taking a break. You know, fight the feeling of looking at the stat sheet or trying to figure out how much playing time you get. Just fight the feeling of, you know, walking into practice and saying, wow, we lost the last 3-4 games, you know, do I still need to practice as hard as I need to practice as if we were undefeated, you know? So it's all about maturity and growing up. So I do think that these guys are starting to express things a little bit more to each other, and I think they're starting to, you know, at least speak on the level of accountability. Now they need to act on that.
Can you talk overall, like, health? Like, do you expect guys back, certain, or, you know, I guess, specifically I'm asking about Drew, but anybody else on your bench?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very slim chance that you'll see Tyrell again.
Okay.
You know, very slim. And there's no chance that you'll see Drew this year.
Okay.
So slim with Tyrell and no chance with Drew.
I think it was after the coastal loss, you were talking about just like leadership and like finding that voice. Do you think that resonated? I think you were talking about it a little earlier too.
You know, I think Drew and Tyrell are doing a good job. But I think you guys have been around here long enough to know that those guys are leaders by example. You know, I mean, Tyrell is a warrior, you know, and Drew played with a broken wrist for half a season. You know, he does a phenomenal job with our guys and trying to speak life into them. You know, usually, you know, in the past we've been led by either a point guard or a post player, and both of which are pretty young and immature along those lines. Not in their acting, but just immature regarding, you know, trying to lead somebody else where they're still trying to figure out how to govern themselves accordingly every day. So, I think it's just going to take all of us. I think the most underrated aspect of leadership is leading yourself. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know, holding yourself accountable and just being responsible, you know, for being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to do in those type of areas. And it makes the leader job a little bit easier when a follower is willing.
Coach, you know, last time you played this team on the road, Caleb Fields had a pretty good game for 35 points and 10 assists, and today he doesn't even get into double-digit scoring. So was that kind of like a focus for you in terms of trying to stop Caleb and make somebody else beat you on the court? Yeah, we tried to show our numbers to him and just kind of guard him as a complete unit. He's an exceptional player. You know, he'll probably go down in the history books over there. He's elite, and he was Sun Belt Player of the Week for a reason. You know, so we tried. I thought we did a pretty good job.
on him. You know, at the end of the day, he's still gonna make Caleb Fields like plays and ones, and then put pressure on the defense, and then make timely kickouts. And I thought he did a pretty good job of understanding that the attention was gonna be on him. And for the most part, man, you know, he just makes the right reads, and that's probably why, you know, Felton and Luau got the looks that they got because of the attention that was given towards him.
Coach, I wanted to ask you a few questions about Colton Vincent. Just him being a transfer and fairly new to the team. How was he transitioned into the team just this season so far?
Yeah, I think he's transitioning well. You know, I think part of the transition is something that everybody who was in the transfer portal in the country that came out that wasn't eligible to play early on is probably going through the same thing. You know, with the excitement in the first two games when they found out they able to play, and then with the reality that, man, I really gotta get in here and figure out what these plays are, figure out our concepts. You know, I'm actually playing more. I got to get myself in playing shape and things of that nature. But you know, he's been a willing follower, and you know, and trying to learn and try to get himself engulfed into who we are and what we do. Even though, you know, initially we thought we were going to be redshirting.
And if you were just to look at the stat sheet, you know, you might not think he had that great of a game, but when I was watching the game, I saw him play great one-on-one defense and make great hustle plays. What has it? How have you just trusted him more, just playing him? You obviously played him about 22 minutes. What is it that has given you that trust for him, and what does he bring to the team?
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, his shot making ability, playmaking ability is there. You know, and I think he plays hard. You know, I thought today was by far his best defensive day of the year. You know, I think he tried to do a good job, you know, moving his feet, you know, not giving up angles and things of that nature. You know, but it's a work in progress. You know, we got to play 5 guys at a time, all right, and when guys are in, we just expect for them to play their hardest and do their best. And you know, he's one of the guys that we're counting on, and we're happy that he's here.
And when he first transferred, he obviously had some trouble with the NCAA rules, not being able to play right away. What was his whole mindset during that process when he couldn't play? And obviously he was very eager to play.
Yeah, I think it was more about just straight team. You know, how can I help? You know, how can I be of service? What do you need me to do in practice? You know, do you need me to kind of, you know, be a passer? Do you need me to be a shooter? Whatever I can do. So just a big time willing mindset to do whatever you can do to kind of, you know, be a part of the team and help out with winning. So we appreciate that from him for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, when you're talking about, you know, this team needs to find its identity, what do you think the troubles have been with this team and with this team trying to find its identity?
Yeah, you know, I think like most teams in the country, you have to find something that you believe in, and sometimes the things that you believe in aren't the things in which you set out in your head. So, for instance, you know, obviously, you know, when you recruit these guys, you tell them some things about, you know, what you think that they can become, and sometimes guys feel like that's what they are right now, but it's a process, you know. You know, it's a step-by-step process. The other thing about identity is, man, it's about consistency. You know, it's about routine. It's about buy-in. It's about sacrifice. And then it's about completing and repeating. And sometimes this generation isn't a complete and repeat. So they show up, you know, they complete, but they sometimes skip steps and try to get right back to that. So that's why you see so many people retweet things rather than repeat things.
Would you say, like, the youth of this team is kind of one of the main problems with this team finding its identity because they're so young and they're still trying to learn things, especially when it's like, you know, a lot of these players are playing at the positions they haven't really played before last season, and now they're kind of stepping into these new roles kind of in unforeseen circumstances?
Well, I don't know if the youth is the problem, but it's one of the factors. You know, because there are other young teams across the country that, you know, playing at a high level. I think it's just process driven. I think it's just not like trying to shoot a 5-point shot, you know, or try not to watch the score, you know, trying to win a possession as opposed to winning the game. You know, it's the biggest thing is trying to get process driven when you're dealing with today's youth. I mean, you see it all the time with people just, you know, not willing to accept this job for this amount of money. You know, they want, you know, already want to just, hey, I don't have a college degree, but I still don't want to work for $15 an hour. You know, I need a better job than that. I need a salary job. You know, so I get it. You know, I understand that this generation understands the value of $1 for more than ours did. We were a little bit more blue collar. So we just got to work a little bit harder and not be so result based. Got to be a little bit more process based.
And, y'all got another, it seems like the Sun Belt is just always going to be like a battle day in and day out. But going on the road for these next 2 games, like what is it going to take to kind of, as you're saying, with everything going on, to kind of get this team like refocused, like focus on the mission and try to get 2 more wins as y'all head into February?
Yeah, I think, man, that's a great question. I think it's going to take a number of things. First of all, I think we just got to slow down. We're a little frantic right now. You know, just the game is just, we're playing at a hectic pace right now. Like we're just not poised. So we gotta, and that's part of the youth and inexperience. You know, we go, and the spacing isn't there. You know, probably whiffing too many screens. So I think we just gotta slow down just a tad bit. Secondly, we gotta have more confidence. Gotta play with some confidence, man. And then, man, we gotta finish plays. Got a lot of plays at the rim, layups, which we're not finishing. And then we gotta block out and rebound. Can't give up offensive boards during critical times. So if we slow down, man, if we finish plays, you know, on both ends, you know, come up with more 50-50 balls, and then we play with the right amount of confidence and belief, hey, I feel confident in our ability